Imagine this, you walk into the Great Hall. In front of you are five long tables packed with students. Every eye in the room is on you, and somewhere in front of you is a sword buried in a stone. If you've watched Harry Potter, you know this exact feeling. It's the moment when the Sorting Hat is placed on your head. This is the Citadel's version of that. You don't wear a hat, you pull a sword from a stone. And whatever happens next decides everything. Which house will you belong to? In the last video, we designed the Citadel itself, a military academy in the world of Celeste, where young people come to train, to learn, and to find out who they are. We designed the building, and now it's time to fill it with people. Today I'll be walking you through how I designed the students for the Citadel, and I want to be upfront. This process was not a straight line. There were dead ends and there were designs that I loved and I had to walk away from. Moments where I thought I was done and I wasn't even close. So if you've ever designed something and felt like the process was messy and chaotic, well, welcome. That's exactly what this was. The brief I gave myself was simple. Designing students at the Citadel. That's it. Like, it sounds simple, right? But that's the trap itself. Because what looks like a simple question opens up to 100 of decisions that you didn't see coming. There are five major houses in the Citadel. Think of them like Hogwarts houses. Except instead of personality traits, they are organized by function. Now, these names are placeholders. They will get proper names as we develop the lore, but here's what we're working with. Infantry. These are the frontline knights with swords and a lot of close combat. Intelligence, the strategists, they are secretive and they are very connected to the light-based magic system of this world. We have builders, these are the engineers. Think of Tolkien dwarves, they build the machines and the mechs in this world. Artillery, think of range weapons, things that explode and things that go boom. I'm playing with the idea of like blind archers inspired by Samurai Jack. If you know, you know. Cavalry, these are guys responsible for transport and logistics. Think of horses, unicorn, dragons. We design some machines as well, but unicorns. Why unicorns? It's my world. Deal with it. So these are the five houses. Again, to reiterate the brief, design what a student looks like. So let's see how that went. I started working on this a long time ago. My first instinct was modern military. That is all black, leather jacket, mysterious and tactical. I still think these designs are cool, but they didn't feel medieval enough. And the world of Celeste sits in this interesting space. That is, the technology is advanced, but the aesthetics lean towards medieval. Think of this. What would a knight with an iPad look like? These early designs didn't answer that question. Some months later, I came back to the designs and I designed three passes. The first pass was Naruto inspired. Think of the Junin uniform that people like Kakashi and Yamato would wear, right? Everyone wears it slightly different, but you can tell they belong together. Cool, but it felt a bit too modern to me. So for the second one, I worked on the silhouette a bit better and I made it more modern. I thought I could save it by doing that. I also added metal plates, and when I was done with the design, it looked a lot like street fashion with extra steps. The shapes were working, but it gave the vibe of someone who raided a vintage shop and just hacked some breastplates and armor on their feet. It didn't feel very medieval. I know I'll say this a lot, but bear with me. So for the third time, I swung to the extreme. Okay, full armor. It looks great if they were going to war, but you don't wear this full armor if you're going to class, for example. You don't sit in a lecture hall dressed like this. You dress like this when you want to storm a castle or something. This is good, but I want to highlight something important here. All these designs were good designs. I could have stopped here, I could have gone with one of them, but here's the thing. A good design is not always the right design. You're not just trying to make something look good. Like, that's the job of an illustrator, but as a concept artist, you're trying to make the thing that solves the problem that you asked in the beginning. You're trying to answer a question. You're not trying to make something pretty. And for world building, these are cool, but they didn't feel like students to me. I just found it really, really hard to conceptualize these people sitting in a classroom together. So I had to keep moving. This is where I changed my approach altogether. I spent time doing real research. I looked up historical military uniform, medieval clothing, and academic robes. I I try to find a balance point between all of these. The work you make is only as good as the ingredients that you source. Reference gathering for a concept artist is like being an expert chef at a market. You need the right ingredients before you start cooking. So I designed what each house would look like, a teacher and a student for each one. The infantry got the classic knights and the young apprentice. The intelligence arm got the hooded cap with slits for the eyes, just to maintain that secretive and religious theme that goes through the entire house. The builders were big, burly, and very inspired by Tolkien's dwarves. Artillery, again, I'm still inspired by Samurai Jack's blind archers. And cavalry, I want to someday ride a horse, so I designed a character riding a unicorn, and beside him is the teacher who cares for the creatures. So now I genuinely like these designs. Each house has a distinct personality, but there was a problem. They look like masters and apprentices, not students. So stay with me. Those are 5 side by side, and it doesn't look like they attend the same school. There was no thread connecting them, and then it hit me. I went back to look at Hogwarts and look at the design language they used, and I really looked at it. And I saw how simple the uniforms were. Just black robes. That's the base. The house identity just shows up in the smallest of places. Let's say the stripe on the tie, the trim on the sweater, a color in the lining. They focused on cohesion first and distinction second. So that was the lesson I got from this design. So even though these designs are cool, they need to be uniform. So the first thing I did was to break the 7 years of schooling in the Citadel into 3 major groups. The first and the second years, the newcomers. The third, fourth, and fifth years, that's the middle. Sixth and seventh years, which are out in the field. Think of it like an internship. Each of these groups should be dressed differently, because the first year, working in on day one should not look the same as someone who's been on a real mission. I did the first round of sketches, different body types, different age categories, and it was better, more cohesion. It felt more like students. Something still wasn't clicking. This is something I did and something I should do more often. I asked for help. I showed the design to my friends Alfred and Kofi, awesome artists by the way. You should check them out. They've been seeing the progress throughout the entire process, so this wasn't like a cold review for them. They had context. And they said something that changed the whole direction. He told me to think about shape language. First and second years should have a circular shape language. That is, it should feel soft, rounded, and just fresh. They're coming in with no edges on them, and the world hasn't shaped them yet. So the third, fourth, and fifth years should have a square shape. That is, they've been molded and structured, through discipline. They don't have the same wide eyes like the first and the second years. They are not the same wide-eyed kids that walked in on day one. The sixth and the seventh year should have a triangular shape language. That is something more stable. And the triangle is a more stable and solid shape, sharp and grounded, which is the pinnacle of someone who has been forged by the Citadel. So you get this progression from circle to triangle, from soft to solid, coming round, and the Citadel shapes you into something with edges. I love the idea. So I redesigned everything that I'd done with that framework, and the difference was immediate. It gave the designs a visual grammar that you can feel even though you can't clearly articulate. You look at the first years and the sixth year side by side, and something registers. One of these people has been through more, and you don't have to see a label to tell you that. The shape itself tells you all you need to know. With the shapes working, I moved on to colors. I used gradient maps to quickly generate variations, and I spread them out. They looked like students from 5 different schools. It was too chaotic. So I went back to Hogwarts again, and there was something I noticed. When you look at the designs of the average students in Hogwarts, they don't just blast you with the house colors. House colors are placed strategically. A hint of scarlet for Gryffindor, a touch of green for Slytherin. There's a level of restraint. That is, you need to know when to shout and when to whisper. So I pulled back and I kept the uniforms cohesive, and I let the house colors appear in a way that is bold but also necessary. And once I did that, it clicked. So these are the final designs. Two first years, two final year students, and one right in the middle. Different houses, different ages, and all in the same frame. And when you look at them together, you can tell that these people go to the same school. From the circle to square to triangle progression. Not every sketch I made ended up in the final design, but that doesn't mean they're wasted. The modern military look, the full armor, some of the early concepts, they might find their home somewhere else in Celeste. Design, first of all, tells you what it's not before it tells you what it is. And sometimes the things it rejects become seed for something you haven't even thought about yet. Now, which house would you be? Would you be in the infantry with a sword in hand, or in the intelligence in the background pulling the strings? Or perhaps you'll be a builder, building the actual infrastructure and tech in the world, or probably in the artillery, a little unhinged and watching things explode. Or maybe you would just be in the cavalry and be the getaway driver. Or perhaps you like riding ponies. There's that. Next, I want to get deeper into each houses, the real names, real history, and the real lore behind each one of them. And when we've done with that, we can finally get to designing characters. I believe that's where the fun begins, but I think this process is also fun. So I'll see you in the next one. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.